Listen up.
It is the Dimer Sports Betting Podcast. Welcome back. I'm Greg. This is Dave. We are 1 week away from the Super Bowl, and we are going to have you ready to bet it and plenty other things in the sports world this week as well. Dave, how are you?
I'm great, Greg. How you doing, man? Actually, hang on real quick. I got to give a little shout out. Some of you may not know because I have this lurking up here on the top shelf. The hottest team in the NBA right here. I put my big hat on. Charlotte Hornets. Recognize everybody. No one better right now in the league. So, yeah.
Mr. Knipple has changed everything in Charlotte. You got to love it. Wild NBA day, by the way. NBA trades popping off left and right. Rumors right now, Jaren Jackson going to Utah. So maybe we can let the dust settle and then take like an NBA futures look at some point on this show. But I'm enjoying that as just a sports fan today, just refreshing my feed for all of the latest Shams news.
Yeah, probably not the last trade coming out of Memphis either. And I don't know. I hope that doesn't take too much of a hit to the Jazz being the ultimate target for basically everybody's ladder. So as good as that is to see from a storyline perspective, hopefully it doesn't take away one of my favorite betting angles of the year.
Yeah, don't make us work again. Don't ruin our favorite. Yeah. Okay, just keep that in mind, GMs, please. Okay, on today's show, we are going to give you 5 things you need to know before the Super Bowl. We are going to talk college hoops on Tuesday night, another big slate. We've got NBA King of the Court picks, and we have the Waste Management Phoenix Open, one of the most fun tournaments in the PGA Tour every single year. Before we get into all of that, though, let's take a look at some wins from the weekend.
Should have bet that.
Justin Rose got it done, and there was some live value in the middle of this tournament last week if you got it at the right time.
Yeah, we had no luck on our pre-tournament picks, but Rose goes wire to wire. First one since, I think, 1955 it was. We had a little edge on him in round 2 when he had the solo lead, 21.9%, up 20% win probability from his pre-tournament prediction. He was sitting at plus 500, so that was fair odds around plus 360. We posted this on our socials. He was minus odds by the end of the day, never looked back. So just a great case in point of how to use the Dimer's golf tool during tournaments. You know, not everything is going to pan out from pre-tournament predictions, and oftentimes the best way to do it is live. So I gave out a few nice little winners in the Discord for some live stuff using the same tool and round by round performances. So we'll try to run that back again this week. Some good stuff with some social plays, both NBA and NHL stuff I've been posting on the Dimers Twitter. We did some NHL goals with some round robins. We did one on the show last week, one over the weekend. Pair of ×2 cashing in those, 4 out of 9 straights with one of them a void. These are all around plus 200 or longer, and they are from the Dimers edges right on site. So you're making a nice little profit if you're playing those top edges as straights, and then, you know, maybe maximizing your upside with a little round robin as we've tried to do. Some little NBA insights that have been given out on social straight from the projections hub and the trends. You see here one that I've pulled up. We cashed a nice little 3-point ladder on Igor Demine last week against who else? The Jazz, the best matchup there is in the NBA. Posted that one in the Discord. We also called out Jalen Johnson as our closest player to a triple-double on Saturday. That was the night he recorded his first triple-double in a month. That was around plus 400 or so. So just keep an eye out for those little insights that we drop on social. Again, all that comes straight from the site anyway. And then the Australian Open was good to us, the whole tournament pretty much. And then we closed out the men's final with our model cashing Alcaraz minus 4.5. and the under, both very close. It was a hook in our favor on the spread and about a 1-game difference on the under, but the model came through there. Just a really great tournament all around for it. And even though that is over, we continue to have predictions for all the small ATP and WTA events on site. So we'll be going with that all the way up until the next slam. And from then, again, we'll have our plays of the day and whatnot that you could find on site.
My favorite thing about Carlos Alcaraz is after winning a major championship, he always just tweets a picture of him as like a 6-year-old with a tennis racket. It's just downright adorable. And shout out to Novak Djokovic for making things interesting. Although I guess we missed on the semifinal. We had Sinner and Alcaraz. We talked about that the last time we did the episode. But every now and then, the greatest tennis player of our generation just won't go away. The resilience on display there. He earned that one against Yannick, but not surprised he ran out of steam if you watch that final match against Carlos.
Yeah, a 5-year-old picture of Carlos Alcaraz at 11 years old, holding a tennis racket. And yeah, no, I mean, Djokovic, he was super well rested. Maybe, we said he didn't look great in those matches and got a little lucky with the walkovers, but ended up being exactly what he needed probably. So can't say you couldn't have seen it coming because he's Novak Djokovic, but yeah, we thought that would be straight set winners, basically.
Yep, exactly. Okay. All right. Thank you for the look backwards. Reminder, Dimers Pro gets you all these insights in real time. Promo code podcast gets you 50% off your first purchase of Dimers Pro. Next up, we are going to look at the Super Bowl. Before we do, we should preface this with this. 2 episodes still this week. We've got a full one today. We've got a full one on Thursday. That Thursday episode is going to be our full-blown Super Bowl preview. We will give you every detailed way to bet the Super Bowl according to the model, according to our personal plays, and plenty more. For today, we're really just going to give you this Super Bowl segment and save the rest for Thursday. But I guess for today's show, let's talk about 5 things that you need to know going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, these are going to be some little nuggets of information I've uncovered looking around, seen on podcasts, other people calling out, little bits that we found in our projections and things that could hopefully give us a little bit of insight onto how certain players are going to be used, certain formations that will be deployed and whatnot. But real quick, before we get into these things, I do have to call out that our, we've mentioned the Dimers app finally launching, and that is up now on both iOS and Google Play stores. But we also have in there an exclusive little big game contest we're running for Patriots versus Seahawks. And if you play this, it's right in the app. If you log in, you can just make your little picks, not unlike a little pick'em contest you've seen before. We are giving away $500 cash and 3 months of Dimers Pro access. If you have to have a subscription to get this, so we'll add the 3 months right on to your existing sub, and you can kind of compare it to the Dimers projections to see how you shake out, see if you can beat the model, so to speak. I've made my picks. I am not in the running for the prize, unfortunately, as much as I would like to win $500 cash and 3 months of Dimers Pro onto my unlimited Dimers Pro sub. But you can log onto the app and make your picks. I think it's 5 of them with a tiebreaker, and take your shot at 500 bones and 3 months of Dimers Pro.
Love it. Okay, there we go. So do you want to start with the first one here?
Yeah, I'll jump right in with the first one of these. And we kind of talked about this on a previous show, but just want to highlight a couple little deeper parts about it. And it's Jackson Smith-Njigba's historic season. He led the NFL with 1,793 receiving yards. He's probably going to be a first-round pick in fantasy drafts next year. Maybe depending on how quarterback situation looks like, if they commit to Sam Darnold long-term. Seahawks reaching the Super Bowl puts him in a very exclusive group with only 3 other wide receivers who led the league in receiving yards and made it to the Super Bowl. That's Jerry Rice twice, Drew Pearson, and Cooper Kupp. As we mentioned, those teams all went 4-0 in the Super Bowl. Dimers model now projects JSN for almost 100 yards in this, pretty much reflecting or echoing those performances that we've seen before in the past by the top wideouts. Currently at 95.9 receiving yards, 6.6 receptions, a 45.7% probability for 1 touchdown, 12.6% for multiple, and 11.3% to score the first touchdown. He's accounted for 44.3% of Sam Darnold's passing yards this season. So he's the entire offense, so to speak. Not quite literally, but if he is going to be shut down in this game, or rather if the Patriots want any chance in this game, they need to completely shut him down. And they've largely struggled against containing this type of wide receiver, movement-based, high-volume guys. Notable performances: Drake London, 9 catches for 118 and 3 touchdowns. Egbuka, 6 catches for 115 and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, before he got injured, 5 catches for 109. Chris Olave, 6 for 98. Jacoby Myers, 8 for 97. It goes on. New England also only faced one top 10 passing offense all season. That was the Bills, and that was all because of Josh Allen, not because of the wide receivers. There was no one of JSN's caliber on that team, and he's going to have a pretty tough matchup against Christian Gonzalez. He's done a really good job at limiting receivers' production. So really their only chance is to basically completely shut him down. But if he plays freely, history really favors Seattle here. If you are, concerned about the matchup with Christian Gonzalez, this kind of points to the angle I talked about last week of Rashid Shaheed probably having a good day based on his big playability, his average depth of target, his low lines as far as a betting angle. But at the end of the day, you're getting an absolute alpha wide receiver who's done something very few ever have in history. And the Patriots have just not had very much experience facing a guy of this caliber this season. He's either going absolutely nuclear or probably not doing much and opening the door for somebody else. It's a tough bet on him, I think, a bit, because his line's going to be so high. Like, you have to bet him basically to get a 100-yard game to find any sort of profit off of him. However, you could probably correlate that a bit with, if you think the Patriots are going to pull this off, they cover the spread and and JSN goes under, something like that. But there's likely to be a very strong correlation in those.
Yeah. It feels like the more we look at this matchup, the one obvious glaring advantage is definitely the Seattle passing game. Whether or not that turns into JSN just being unstoppable, Gonzalez limiting him, and then they turn to the secondary options. Obviously, we love Shaheed. We see a lot of value there personally from the last week. We'll have more on that on Thursday. But even like Cooper Kupp, even Barner, even some of the secondary targets, I feel like are probably going to find success if JSN is limited in any way. But if New England's going to win this game or hang, I think they're going to have to find answers elsewhere. I'd be pretty stunned if they just shut down the Seattle passing attack. And maybe one of their answers potentially comes from shutting down the Seattle run game, because there are two dominant run defenses in this game on both sides. Starting with Seattle, they led the NFL in yards per carry allowed this season, while the Patriots ranked 25th in rushing EPA offensively. Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson have seen declining yards per carry in every playoff game up until now. The Dimers model projects the Pats running backs for just 76.1 combined rushing yards, 56 of them to Stevenson, 20 of those to Henderson. There is a little bit of touchdown value on Ramondre for both 1 touchdown and 2 at 44.9% likely to score in this game. And you can get odds of plus 150 there. But, I think it is pretty telling here. Again, the identities of these teams. I feel like New England wants to run the ball with this two-headed attack. They may just be running into their own death against what Seattle does best. But on the flip side, if there's a spot defensively that I think New England is likely to hold up well against, it will be the run game. We know that Zach Charbonnet is out, and in the first game without Charbonnet, Seattle really just put it all on Kenneth Walker. And I think this Pats run defense has spoken for itself in the playoff run. They've been dominant ever since Milton Williams got healthy. Williams returned in week 18, and since then, no running back has topped 50 rushing yards against the Pats. Playoff running back rush totals allowed are 37, 41, 17, 14, and 11. That's right. No running back in the playoffs has even hit 40 yards against New England. Now, our model projects Kenneth Walker to basically put an end to this. 80.1 rushing yards is his projection, but me speaking for myself personally here, I do think there's a world New England bottles up the run game, and maybe if the pass game looks as favorable towards Seattle as we think it is, they could just lean entirely in that and turn their back away from Walker entirely. If they do, one angle to look for could be Kenneth Walker as a receiver. The Pats have allowed the 6th most receptions to running backs this season. And in recent weeks, as Walker even takes on more of a rushing load burden, he's still been putting up sizable numbers: 29 receiving yards, 36, 49, and 67 in recent weeks. Our model projects 23.3 receiving yards for Kenneth Walker in the Super Bowl, but it will be interesting to watch how he's used.
Yeah, a bit of maybe even a conservative projection there. It doesn't take him very much to get going. We've seen him break really long catch and runs. They like to go to him early as well. So, I mean, even if you want to tackle him for, one reception in the first quarter, 5 yards in the first quarter, you're going to get plus money odds on that. Really interesting case of both defenses being absolutely shut down. And the diminishing returns for the Patriots running backs is really interesting to me, because you don't really expect that they're going to be able to beat Seattle through the air, and they're really going to need to find a balance in that run game. So we'll be really curious to watch that matchup. And they could not have gotten Milton Williams back at a better time in New England. Speaking of matchups, one that's notably the pretty much softest spot for Seattle, and maybe the way the Patriots will have to attack them in this game, is the defense versus tight ends. Seahawks were excellent this year, obviously. Under 200 passing yards per game, but they were 27th in yards allowed per game to tight ends, seeing 8.6 targets, 6.2 receptions per game to the position. Pretty good at limiting scoring damage, so I don't know if I'm jumping on Hunter Henry or even Austin Hooper to score a touchdown or anything, though. I mean, Austin Hooper's the exact type of deep cut guy you like to see in the Super Bowl. His odds are probably crazy comparatively to Henry's anyway. But they were really vulnerable in middle of the field production to tight ends all year. Patriots are likely to try and exploit this with Hunter Henry, who's their second leading pass catcher of the entire season. He's run 76 routes through 3 playoff games. He's basically their second go-to guy in the passing game. And this is with players like Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, even Demario Douglas, who have shown big playability. That's just one fewer route than Diggs. He's on the field as much as he is, contributing just as much as he is in the offense. Currently projecting Henry for 3.5 receptions, 41.2 receiving yards. Pretty modest, not expecting him to go crazy, but that is the third most receiving yards in this game, rather. So while it's low in terms of, actual number of yards, the amount of yards he's accruing, it's pretty high comparatively in this game. So if you're looking for one kind of sneaky, tertiary as far as a name is concerned, but actually really like a secondary pass catcher, it would be Hunter Henry. And, the Patriots are going to have to find creative ways to get after the Seahawks defense. This is one spot that teams have been able to all year. Wouldn't be surprised to see Henry have at least a big day or a busy day from targets. If he's unable to actually capitalize on them, he's going to see the ball come his way a few extra times in this game, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I feel like this has been a positional spot that we've circled pretty much every week of the season leading up to this, and auto played in terms of props. There's got to be some value somewhere on Henry. You can probably talk yourself into what version of that you want, whether it's a ladder, whether it's touchdown value, whether it's receptions ladder instead of yards. But either way, I'd be shocked if he's not a massive part of this game plan. And again, if we talk through the game script here, it feels to me like, given the running struggles we expect and maybe Seattle to build an early lead here, I think you're going to see New England run a lot of pass plays. And when they do, one thing that I'll be watching is how they protect Drake May. It hasn't gone well in the playoffs. There's been sack issues, but you could probably classify it as sack issues for Seattle's defense too. More on that in a moment. Drake May has been taken down 15 times in the playoffs and equal 5 sacks in each postseason game thus far. This Seattle defense should be able to pounce on that, except they don't blitz a lot. They just get pressure on the quarterback organically from that front 7. They rank bottom 3rd in blitz rate, but top 3rd in pressure efficiency on the season. Even though they've graded out well over the course of the regular season in this area without blitzing, they haven't gotten to the quarterback in their 2 playoff games. Now, they haven't needed to. They're in the Super Bowl, but only 3 total sacks across 2 playoff games. I would guarantee you Seattle's going to like their chances a lot more if they can continue the success the defenses have had getting to Drake May. If they pressure but don't finish, That's where I think you see Drake May's legs become a serious part of this game. And the Dimers model does project Drake May for 38.1 rushing yards. You can get plus money at May to total 40 or more rushing yards. He already has 2 games with 60 plus rushing yards in the playoffs, and he's the 3rd highest rushing projected player in this game. If they have to turn away from the traditional run plays, if Henderson and Stevenson are getting nothing going, if they fall down 14-0, I think this is going to be the game script. Drake May's improvisation against a Seattle defense that will drop a lot into coverage, still get pressure on the pocket, but probably not get to the quarterback. I'm going to have a hard time not adding some Drake May rushing props here, I think, the more I look at this, Dave.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it aligns perfectly with their diminishing returns from the running backs. You're not going to be able to get away with it very long if that's the case. Henderson's been an absolute slog in the running game, and Ramondre's, efficiency is dipping lower and lower as games go by. We saw May call his own number at the end of that Broncos game. Wouldn't be surprised to see him do the same thing on an even bigger stage. Yeah, that's what we're trying to look for here is the matchup suggests this one thing. This was what could be the byproduct of that matchup. And in this scenario, it's Drake May could find himself pretty busy with his legs. One last thing I want to look at is less of a fact and a stat, if you will, and more of just kind of like a fun way to look at our projections alongside a little bit of line reading, I guess, and, some key number betting, I guess, kind of all rolled into one. So our simulations project an average final score of 25-21 in favor of Seattle. That number comes from over 10,000 simulations from the initial run to all subsequent updates. So it's not always going to land on the, a precise football score like 25. So we end up with 25 points here. But if you add just one key number higher, one football score higher to each side, you get 28-24, a very believable football score, which also happens to be the exact opposite of the Super Bowl when the Seahawks and Patriots played last time. So it's a very fun, not super data-backed way to bet on this game. But sometimes weird stuff happens. We've seen funny narratives rear their head all season long and in seasons past. You could play this exact score at 250-1 odds on FanDuel. $2 wins $500 type of stuff. As low as 150-1 on DraftKings. So that's a notable pricing discrepancy just on the bet itself. It's $100 difference on a single dollar for reference. It completely aligns with our model's projections in this game, which is a Seattle win, a New England cover, and the over of 45.5. Is it likely to happen? No. It's the very definition of a long shot, but it is a fun little narrative on flipping the script for these two teams to meet in for the second time. And we've seen, as we talked about before, a lot of split series happening in these Super Bowl rematches. So just kind of a little fun way to play the game, give you something to root for the whole way. If not, look for that, maybe Super Bowl squares type of stuff. You can have some fun with that, but a little side play to look at this game that I couldn't help but ignore when I was going through our predictions and all the results in the past and whatnot.
Do you know how rewarding it would be to hit an exact score Super Bowl bet? Just imagine sitting at the Super Bowl party you're at, or even on the couch next to your wife, like, "Hey, honey, I just hit it 250-1." Like that's you. At that point, you might as well be O's the Mentalist.
The wings are on me. Yeah, right. He's probably got that in one of his episodes somewhere, or one of these Hard Knocks visitations he's made. Where they're always guessing that and everything. Really good. But yeah, I couldn't help it. I mean, it's the game, right? Like if you're gonna bet an exact score, might as well be the game. It has an entire mini party game based around getting the exact score right at various parts of the contest.
Yeah. Yep. Fun way to look at the Super Bowl always. Okay. There's 5 things you need to know. Appreciate your insights as always, Dave. And it was cool to give a little call out to the exact score projections because That's how Dimers Pro works. If you use Dimers Pro, you go into our game predictions, you do get a projected score that is based on those 10,000 plus simulations that Dave discussed. And we've used that data before in real time with soccer games to hit some pretty fun tickets. And it is a really cool way to use the model's insights that we don't talk about nearly as much as we do with player props and game projections in general against the spread. So that's all in there as well. Make sure you get Dimers Pro so that you can see this for yourself and use it how you'd like. 50% off with Dimers Pro. Enter promo code podcast. And if you haven't yet, you should before Super Bowl Sunday so that you can get all of this information to the fullest. Let's turn our attention next to the NBA world. With NBA trades popping left and right, it does leave some, I don't know if you want to call it player prop questions or even player prop availabilities or value potentially, if you know what you're doing with some of these absences.
Yeah.
So King of the Court tonight could be a little unique compared to other nights, but as always, we've got our prepared picks to survey the landscape for you. Where do we start, Dave?
Real quick, I think we want to start maybe, this is all stuff I've done before the trade and everything, but it might be worth looking at, matchups against the Jazz now tonight, since they're going to have a bit of a lineup shakeup in there. Probably not the most reliable starting five that's going to, put in a great performance. So I think they're playing the Pacers. See what do you got? Siakam, Nemhard, not a super inspiring roster, but you could probably find somebody, at least one matchup worth using. I would definitely check out the projections hub and see if anybody catches your eye. But for now, we'll pull up our original targets for King of the Court here and go through them. Surprise, surprise, Luka Doncic back on top of the PRA board. Basically, his natural habitat is sitting top 1, 2, or 3 in our projections hub. Nets are a bottom 5 defensive rated team this season, but weirdly stingy when it comes to guards, particularly lately, outside of a recent Jaylen Brown overtime explosion where he had 49 PRA with a triple-double. But they've been limiting the overall output to the position in their last 10 games. Luka's obviously always live to win King of the Court, projected for 49.6 tonight. He's won it 4 times this year. I will say his most recent bonus bet was actually the highest that he's returned so far at $41. So, you're not getting nothing if you back him and he wins. It's just not the type of upside you get from someone else. He's got as much of a PRA floor as anybody. But the matchup tonight maybe caps his blow-up potential based on recent results. But if you're trying to pick the night that Luka doesn't go off, it's basically a loser's game. We're not trying to fade him. Just look for someone else who could return a bigger bonus. But, as always, you could take Luka as the favorite, and you'll probably be looking at somewhere between $30 and $40 for a bonus bet. Second, we have SGA projected for 42.9. Little, disclaimer here. He's projected alongside Embiid, but I left him out. He has not played a back-to-back once this year. It seems like he probably won't, basically by design. So I'm not going to bother including him here. However, if he does play and you think Joel Embiid's going to have the nights he's been having lately, he's certainly in the mix there. But problem with SGA is his ceiling is kind of dependent on him scoring like 40 plus points, which obviously you can do anytime, but to really stuff the PRA stat sheet and hit the high totals. But that eats his assist upside. Obviously, he can't get an assist if he's scoring on the play, and he's not really a big rebounder. Top 15 in the league in assists and the second highest scorer, but I think he's like well outside the top 100 as far as rebounds. So he really has to kind of all come together for him on the right night, which is the biggest issue. It doesn't seem to happen on Tuesdays. In the past week and a half, he's got PRA totals of 58, 55, and 52. It just doesn't happen on Tuesdays. He hasn't won once this season. I don't think he's put up 50 on a Tuesday, which would put him, in the top 3 on most nights. But he is questionable tonight, facing the Magic, who rank pretty much middle of the category versus guards. Middle of the pack in every category versus guards over their last 10 games. Could be a sneaky good matchup, though. Donovan Mitchell just cooked him twice for 50 and 53 PRA in back-to-back games. Like I said, though, questionable with a finger injury, so keep your eyes on that. We will be going back to this matchup in a bit. Third, Jalen Johnson of the Hawks, projected for 42.8. keeps popping up in here lately. Really impressive all-around contributions this season. Fresh off a triple-double the other night, but he's seen his scoring dip in January, averaging about 4 points less per game. Lower floor this past month, 8 games under 20 points. He's had some really monster rebounding games, some of the highest of the year, also some of the lowest of the year. Just been a really volatile past few weeks for him. Went 24, 9, and 10 against Miami earlier this season. Not the most enticing matchup, as they're a pretty solid defense. A little bit better against forwards, particularly, but they've been more vulnerable to rebounds, which is his kind of biggest complementary stat. Second most this season, bottom 5 over their last 10. Probably look around for a triple-double or some alternate rebound lines for Jalen Johnson. Going to our 2 long shots here. We're going to look at Paolo Banchero of the Magic against the Thunder. He's a long shot, but got some solid upside. Thunder have been a little rough defensively lately in their toughest stretch of the season, allowing the second most rebounds over their past 10 games. Paolo's flirting with the double-double projection tonight. He's got 2 30-point double-doubles in his past 5 games. In that stretch, he's led the team in 2 PRA categories, in 4 of them, one of them all 3. He's got more overall upside tonight with Franz Wagner out. And barring a nuclear scoring game from Desmond Bane, really no one else has this ceiling on the Magic. If it would be anyone, it'd be him. Second highest rebound projection for a non-center in the projections hub tonight. Would definitely be looking at that as a play. And then finally, go with Karl Anthony Towns, projected for 37.2 PRA. He gets the Wizards, always a great matchup. Not quite automatic as the Jazz, but still very good. He is in a rough scoring stretch, however, averaging 20.6 points per game in November and December, down to just over 15 per game since then. Pretty tough. He has elevated his rebound ceiling, though. So if everything kind of lines up, could be really good. 3 games with 20-plus boards in December. Tonight he faces a Wizards team, ranks bottom 5 points, rebounds, and assists to opposing centers over their past 15. Towns had 33, 13, and 5 versus the Wizards earlier this season. That would put him in the rough range where you're winning King of the Court, except for last week, which was the lowest of the season, under 50. Like I said, Wizards are always a good team to attack for the promo. If you don't think Cat can get the scoring sorted, probably doesn't hurt to go with Brunson, who could, pile up the assists and, of course, can score 35 pretty much any night. So those will be the 5 targets. Just a reminder, we're looking for ways to attack these games. Even if these guys can't win King of the Court, there's some good betting angles to play. There's straight picks or a little, projections lotto, couple plays to target that I think you could look at. Luka, 35 plus points. You get plus money there. Top projected scorer of the night. SGA, you can get plus money at 5 or 6 rebounds, projected for 4.6. Jalen Johnson, his triple doubles plus 335. One of our closest players to get one tonight. Banchero, I mentioned his boards, 10 plus, 11 plus, 12 plus, 9.2 boards for his projection. You can get him plus money in pretty much anything over that. And probably a key stat if he's going to wear the crown tonight. And then for Cat, he's our top projected rebounder of the night, 13.1. You can get him plus money at 14 plus. So, I'd probably target his boards. You don't have to win the bet to win the crown, but you could ladder him up if you don't want to commit to just a single play. And like I said, any way we can find value on one of these guys is a great way to target them, even if we can't win King of the Court and the bonus bets. So that's what we got tonight.
Yeah, as fun as it is to frame this all as it's King of the Court, this is really just player props to add to your card tonight and look for matchups that we think are good. So bet them however you'd like. Pick your favorite for the King of the Court. I will say my personal favorite angle tonight that you laid out for us, I like Paolo against the Thunder with no Franz. I think there is an element to this, especially with a team as prestigious at this point as Oklahoma City is, that if you're an opposing superstar, you kind of get up to play them a little bit. We've seen that with Chet at times in the last couple of months. And I feel like with Paolo, he's, the Magic are good enough to kind of just coast through the East at full strength. If they're going to hang with Oklahoma City at all, you have to have Paolo on like a 10 out of 10 performance tonight with no Franz. And I think he knows that. I think he comes in pretty intentional to try to elevate his game. And as you mentioned, 2 monster 30-point double-doubles in the last couple of weeks for him. So that's personally what I'm going to be doing. I like Paolo double-double tonight. I like the rebound ladder for him as well. But he'll be my king of the court play tonight, Dave.
Yeah, I think I'm doing that too. A lot of green flags. I really like Cat, as a play. The scoring lately has, it's a little gross to look at, but sometimes you just need that one game to get right. You find your flow, and that's it. But yeah, probably Paolo for me.
Yep. All right, we're aligned. Okay, next up, speaking of finding your flow, it's time for me to find my flow. Let's do some college corner picks.
College Corner.
Another big slate on Tuesday night, as we always have at this point in the season. Conference play is rolling, and we're looking for a couple spots that we feel really good about tonight. By we, I mean the Dimers model, and also plays that are on my personal card tonight. We start in the Big East, where we are taking DePaul plus 10.5 against St. John's. Now, the Big East is a mess right now, and if you haven't been paying too much attention to it yet, I don't blame you. There's really 2.5 good teams. The best is UConn. The second is St. John's. And then you could consider Villanova third. But DePaul has quietly been better than anybody realizes. They're 4-7 in conference play this year, which is an improvement from what they've been for the better part of the last 4 seasons. 4 wins in conference play is already tied for the most they've had in a full season in the last 3 years. So this team is trending in the right direction. And I think we've seen them show up and be feisty at home, if not just downright difficult to play at home. They've got 4 straight victories in their home arena here against Seton Hall, who should be an NCAA tournament team, Xavier, Georgetown, and Marquette. In steps St. John's, who is very good, but St. John's has a pretty treacherous spot here. They go play UConn at home on Friday. So this is like 2 games before we even get to the weekend for St. John's. There's only 2 great teams in this league. They're absolutely circling the UConn game. It's hard not to look ahead to that one. Meanwhile, they were at home this past week. Now they have to do a quick one-day trip to DePaul and back. It's the trappiest of trap spots here against a team that's just been a death trap in their own home arena. So for me, I think you look at St. John's on the road recently too, a 7-point loss at Villanova, or a 7-point win at Villanova, 5-point win at Xavier. They're not exactly blowing teams out on the road as is. I think you're getting double-digit points here. You've got to just take the home team that has been so good at home. We'll take DePaul. Do we have a friend joining us for the College Corner?
Yes, you have cat approval from the College Corner from my cat, who wants to be fed about an hour early.
Can I get a meow from the kids in the back right now? We keep it rolling.
He's usually pretty good at it when he stares out the window at the birds, but right now he's just trying to bother me.
Dave's cat is just the sharpest. Oh my goodness. Okay, we move next. NC State is the next play on the card. They're taking on SMU. It's NC State minus 2.5. I think this is a little bit of an opportunity game for NC State. They started the season pretty rocky, only 12-6 through their first 18 games, and a lot of losses to good teams, lost to Virginia, lost to Kansas in overtime. They just kind of stacked up wins against the lesser teams on the schedule. Now they've won 4 straight. They've gotten right. They passed the eye test, including an overtime win on the road at Clemson, where they were the better team from start to finish and ultimately survived a late push from Clemson. I just think this team is finally clicking, living up to their preseason expectations where they were picked 3rd in the ACC. This is a game against an SMU team that, isn't the caliber of a Duke or a North Carolina, but is still a game that will matter for resume purposes. And I think that's the category that NC State can find real success in right now. So it's a small number here. I think NC State minus 2.5 is almost a must play given their recent hot streak. And then our third and final play of the night here is going to be Tennessee minus 12.5 against Ole Miss. Now, Tennessee has had another up and down year. It's kind of similar to what I just said about NC State, where they had a lot of big opportunity games early in the year. That Illinois game, especially, where they led at halftime, they let it slip and lost on a neutral floor. Since then, they've just been in a gauntlet in the SEC. I mean, their schedule was extremely front-loaded with quality games. You look at games at Arkansas, at Florida, Kentucky at home, at Alabama, at Georgia, and Auburn. I mean, they haven't played any of the cupcakes in the SEC. You look forward, it's almost a breath of fresh air starting tonight with Ole Miss. And I think this is the first game for Tennessee. You know, we come to associate this defense with supreme physicality, toughness, all the things that we've loved Rick Barnes teams for through the years. This team also has a little more offensive firepower than normal, with Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie as guys that can get you 30 points in a game. I think, against Ole Miss, this defense can suffocate a woeful offense. And then you let the talent do the talking and create some separation. They haven't really had a team they can beat up on. I think they're going to savor that tonight. So Tennessee minus 12.5 is the final play on the card. Just to summarize and repeat myself here, it's DePaul plus 10.5, NC State minus 2.5, and Tennessee minus 12.5. And it looks like we have a high edge on the Tennessee play as well.
Yeah, some really good stuff here. I like the call outs. Yeah, you get the high edge for Tennessee. Pretty sure I saw NC State with an edge on the money line as well. Always nice to see when the model has, an edge on both of those, especially when it's a short favorite and you're not feeling too wrong about not taking the money line because it's extra juicy right here. You're getting pretty similar spots. So very good stuff, Greg. Thank you as always.
Absolutely. Best time of year. I'm betting college hoops every single night, and I love talking about it on the show with you, my friend. Another thing I love on this show, your golf picks. We got the Waste Management Phoenix Open this weekend. This is one of the more entertaining tournaments every single year for a variety of reasons, but the casual golf fan loves this as much as the golf savants love it as much as golf bettors love it. So let's take an early look at the Waste Management Open here. What are your early thoughts going into this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, this one is so fun. The People's Open, famously rowdy, absolute scenes on the par 3 16th, the hole-in-ones, the flying beer, all the candid shots of everybody in their own element. It's a very good one. Known for a lot of rowdiness, also known for having a lot of scoring opportunities, but not being particularly easy, with a very competitive finish. 15 of the last 20 have been one-stroke wins, 8 playoffs in that span. As you can see here in our preview on site, 7,261 yards as a par 71. Big greens here, around 7,000 square feet. There's water in play on 6 holes. So not overly difficult as far as hazards are concerned, but the rough can get a little tricky, and it definitely favors bombers and ball strikers over everything, which seems to be everybody these days can bomb it. So you have to kind of find your edge a little elsewhere. But 123 golfers in the field. Cut is going to be the top 65 in ties after 2 rounds. Like I said, bombers and ball strikers. So key stats, look at a lot of total driving, emphasizing on distance, strokes gained on approach, birdie or better percentage, especially on the guys who can shorten up the par 5s and par 14 or par 4s. Par 5s are all considered reachable. You can get in there and maybe steal some eagle chances even. So in a field that is stacked with 11 of the top 20 players in the world, 10 major champs, and of course Scotty Scheffler, takes a lot to come away and get away on top. But that's probably a good transition into the bets with Scotty Scheffler, who you look here once again, obviously leading the way. He's plus 240 at 33.4%. The bad news, he's the super short favorite and everybody else is trailing. The good news, you can still get a little value on him. He opened the season with a win for the first time in his career. He did falter here last year with a T25 at the end, but he was recovering from his wine glass issue, the Christmas hand surgery that he had. So kind of puts things a little more into perspective, especially after his hot start this year where he didn't have to deal with that. Previously won here back-to-back years, 2022 and 2023, has a T3 and a T7 otherwise, except for his first appearance when he had a missed cut. He's minus odds even for a top 5 finish. So you fade Scotty at your own risk here. It's a really tough spot sometimes. You almost you don't want to say you have to bet on something. If you're going to bet a tournament with Scotty, you do feel like you have to have something on him to win. Otherwise, you basically have to bet the winner without market, which I'll call out with our next guy, Ben Griffin. 5.5% here, plus 3,500 at his best odds on Bet365 and Bet Rivers. He's got a pair of top 25s this year. Hasn't quite broken through the contending gates yet, but that should only be a matter of time for him. Really strong driver, great putter, excellent scoring ability here on larger pars, which come into play. He's got a T28 and a T36 in his past 2 tries at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. 5.5% is fair at plus 1720, so you're getting a great edge on him at plus 3,500. If you want to play him winner without Scheffler, he's still plus 2,500 that I could find at his best odds. So you're removing 33% win probability from the field and still getting him at 25-1. And he's closer to plus 3,000 on most books. So that's not really far off from his average price. Probably the better way to play Ben Griffin, honestly, or just bet him in placements. Obviously, you can always play somebody to beat Scotty Scheffler. He's not going to win every single tournament he plays in. But if you play the winner without, you won't be finding yourself sweating or cursing come, day 4 and your guy's right there, but Scotty has a 4-shot lead, something like that. So, and like I said, good price on him there. Just one other winner with value here. Harry Hall, 3.6%, our third most likely winner. Huge discrepancy in the books here. He'd be fair at plus 2,700. Big edge in 2 tries at the Phoenix Open. He's got a T41 and a missed cut, but a solid start to this year with a T6 and T24 in 2 events. He has not finished outside the top 25 except for once in his past 10 events going back to last season. So it's hard not to love him pretty much at the very least to get a top 20. It's a really excellent fit based on his stats in these 2 events this year. Above field average almost across the board, putting, driving, and scoring. Takes a little hit in his approach game, which is typical of him. But if he can drive the ball, maybe reach the greens in a little less on those longer pars, he'll clean up with the putter and could be very dangerous. He's plus 200 for a top 20 finish, 47.4%. Really hard not to love him in a ladder play at the very least here. Look at Ben Griffin, also plus 130 at 57% for a top 20. Really solid value on these guys, for placements. And you don't have to go for the winner or the big bet. You could try to play a little more conservative and go for these placements. There's no really good reason Ben Griffin shouldn't get a top 20 here at plus money and 57%. He's one of the better golfers in this field. 3-time winner last year. So then it's a couple golfers to watch that I like. No value on these guys in outright markets, but some suggestive things that point to them having a good shot here. Sahith Theegala, 2 top 5s here in the past, T7 last week. We only have him, he's way down here to win at 0.6%, but 18.6% from the model for a top 20. Seems like he's turned a corner after a tough season last year. Then Pearson Coody right here, also 0.6%. Better odds than Theegala, but still well off fair. Top 20 in all 3 starts this season. Great fit for the longer holes at this course. 25% to finish top 20. And then above both of them, Jake Knapp, just 0.8% to win, but 27.9% for a top 20. T11 and a T5 to start the year, par or better in every round. Guys who have a really good chance, just no Dimers model value, so I can't say that they are a recommended bet, but they should certainly be on your radar. Look for them in a matchup. Look for them maybe to win their group. Use our head-to-head predictor tool. See if you could find a spot for them in that facet in one of those markets, or just play them, without the value to have a good day. But 3 guys that I think you should be looking at besides our 3 winners, Scheffler, Griffin, and Hall.
I love it. Yeah, Jake Knapp is one of my favorites. He is. He's just an entertaining dude. He bombs the ball. And every time you watch him, like his upside, I feel like there's only maybe 7 to 8 guys on earth whose best can play with Scheffler's best. And it sounds crazy to say it, but Knapp at his best can go 9 holes and match Scotty birdie for birdie. It's just about consistency, and his floor is extremely low. But it's been great to watch him early this year, top 11, top 5. It feels like he's turned a little corner. I've been duped by him before in past years, but I'm hoping this breakout continues. And this Ben Griffin thing, man, every week our model showing value on Ben is just trying to scream that to our face, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's great. He's on the cusp of being, I think a consensus top 5 player on the tour. And the books maybe aren't caught up to that or willing to put that respect on him where our model is. So we're constantly seeing an edge on him. So it's pretty fun. And hopefully we'll nail him at one of these good prices before he's favored in a tournament. And our model is like, nah, actually, we don't like him this week.
It's kind of It's like it feels like when we talk about like futures in the big sports leagues, and we're like, okay, our model found value on the Seahawks. We're gonna ride this. Like that's what I feel like we're doing with Ben Griffin right now. It's like we just every week until he finally breaks through with a win, the odds makers are gonna have him undervalued. So I've been just sitting back dialing up Ben Griffin bets for like 4 straight tournaments.
Ben is Bears. Duck off.
I love it. It's fun. All right. Well, I will be enjoying the Waste Management Open as I always do, the People's Open. And we will update you as the tournament goes along. Make sure you follow Dimers on social media so that you can get some of our real-time updates. As we mentioned last week, the eventual winner, Justin Rose, showed value in between rounds. And you've got to have Dimers Pro so you can see the value in real time. But occasionally the good people like Dave at Dimers will tweet out some updates for the public to see too. Get Dimers Pro so you can see it all yourself. Promo code podcast, get 50% off. That's a good segue to our final segment today. What else is on Dimers this week?
What's on Dimers this week?
I know one thing that's on Dimers this week, Dave, the Super Bowl.
Yeah, stop me if you heard this before. Super Bowl content, guys. Lines have not moved very much, so our model's staying pretty firm with its predictions. But lots of value coming and going in touchdowns, props, and more projections, predictions, always updating. And like I said, we'll have more content coming your way. Thursday's show is going to be absolutely loaded. We're going to look at touchdowns, king of the end zone, FanDuel's touchdown jackpot, props. We'll have a Dimers parlay. We'll look at our final best bets. Greg and I will have a little fun, probably draft a little fantasy team for the Super Bowl, see who can come out on top. We're going to do every single thing we possibly can in a 1-hour episode, basically, on Thursday. Of course, the golf model always updating every week, as Greg just mentioned. That's how we caught Justin Rose at plus 500 this week, so keep an eye out for that. Daily sports, college basketball, NBA, NHL, it's all up there. We'll be sprinkling it in on social as well. Of course, if you have Dimers Pro, you've got it all just as at the same time as we do. And maybe we'll preview this on a show coming up. But there's some great NHL futures value on site. At least a couple teams have an edge to win the Stanley Cup. So we'll tease that. We'll get into that probably on another show. I'll probably write an article for the site about it. But make sure you guys are not sleeping on the futures tools because there's always something hiding in there.
Always value in the Dimers Pro model. Make sure you check it out and get the app too. By the way, Dimers did announce their app. We've had some awesome stuff like the big game contest that Dave showed you earlier in the app. So make sure you download it, get Dimers Pro, get the app, use these tools to their fullest. Dave, another great episode. Thank you. We'll be back on Thursday for our full-blown Super Bowl preview. Until then, good luck with your bets, everybody.